For today's episode of the Down to Business podcast, we sat down with Matt and Bria for I Love Thy Hood. So you hear that business name, what do you think of? Do you love the neighborhood that you come from, where you were born, where you were raised, what really shaped you into the individual that you are today? Would you do anything to ensure that that same neighborhood was taken care of through and through? So what did Matt and Bria do? Living on one of the busiest streets within that area was not easy for them, especially when everything is surrounded by commercial and businesses. But it makes it even harder when people don't necessarily always care about the communities that they live in and decide to pollute it instead of contribute towards it in a positive manner. So with all the trash that was circulating, with all the negligence, with all the lack thereof, what did they decide to do? How did I Love Thy Hood even get started? So much so that now, between Matt and Bria, they've been able to corral over 150 cans within the Philadelphia area. So from connecting with business owners, from connecting with neighbors, from connecting with people who necessarily saw the problem, wanted a solution, instead of just talking about it, they really decided to put a plan in action, and now here they are. So what can we do to ensure that, one, our communities are taken care of, and then two, we're helping the expansion of I Love Thy Hood, because they are definitely looking to come to a city near you. So without further ado, enjoy episode 141, Chain Reaction. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Down to Business podcast. I know y'all normally looking forward to seeing me just across from one person. Now I had to corral the troops today. We brought everybody in. I'm sitting down with Matt and Bria. Once again, I got to give a big shout out to Cuzzo, brother, or whatever we want to call him now. But DJ, man, you did it again. You connected me with some like-minded individuals, some people who are doing great things in their communities and beyond. So very excited, very grateful for that. So big shout out to my dog for making that happen. I know he's going to tap in. I know he's going to hear that in the beginning. So big shout out my boy. But nonetheless, very excited to be sitting down with Matt and Bria today. Very excited to, one, not only dig a little deeper into what they do, but do y'all see the hoodies? Do y'all see the fits? It's fire. I'm a little jealous. I tried to throw on my best this morning, a little hint of orange, but they showed me up tenfold. But no, very excited, very grateful to be sitting down with them. So how are y'all doing today? How's everything on y'all end?
Good. It's been a fun couple weeks, I will say. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good. The weather is nice in Philly, so you know how that is.
Back outside with it.
Yeah, dirt bikes come out. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, now back outside, boys. I love that. And no, I feel like a couple of weeks ago, I was even sending some prayers and some well wishes for all my up north friends. But now, y'all looking like almost like Tampa. Is definitely as well. So, look, I know, me being from Philly, we're going to have a Philly audience. I already know they're tapping in, they're showing love, they're doing what they're doing. But I also know we're going to have some people coming from different places. We're going to have some people who've never tapped into my podcast coming from y'all side as well. So just to make sure, just to get everybody on one accord, really just let them know what's going on. Can you, one, just tell us a little bit about yourselves? And then can y'all, two, just tell us what brings you on the Down to Business podcast today?
Sure.
Yeah. My name is Matthew George, Philadelphia native. I'm in community development as a career. I've been in community development since 2019, kind of when you started your podcast. I was in insurance prior to that. And I kind of fell into that in a way, basically just working my way up. After college, I just started hitting the ground running and really doing laborious jobs. I was doing lawn care. I was soliciting for them. Then I was on the trucks and I was doing both, running that whole dang operation. Then I tapped into my creative side and started screen printing. Worked for probably the biggest screen printing factory in Philadelphia at the time. And from that, I wanted to kind of get more stable, and not really utilize my body at such a young age, and wanted to kind of change that narrative. So I dabbled into customer service. I started working at first with my uncle, who he had expo jobs where they ran like whole expositions and stuff like that. So coordinating all the different booths, making sure all of that was handled, to working front desk at a hotel. So that's kind of how I kind of got that customer service background. And from there, just working at the hotel, I was able to get connected with the vice president of the claims division at the company I soon worked after the hotel. So really, it was a jump for me because people went to college for this job, and essentially, I had the customer service skills. I just needed to learn the business and all that comes with claim adjusting, getting those licenses and everything like that. And from there, I did that for quite some time. And I say the pandemic hit. So once that started working from home. So that kind of changed the atmosphere. I needed to like just go into the office and then leaving the office. Like you can separate yourself from work and home and all that stuff. So it really got blended very quickly. And by that summer, what happened? George Floyd happened. In Philadelphia, I live in a section called Germantown. It's a minority community, and I live smack dab on Shelton Ave, and that's pretty much the busiest street in this neighborhood. And it's filled with all stores, convenience stores, Rite Aids, Burger Kings, all these jewelry stores, sneaker stores, and that over that weekend, every single store basically got looted. So I even heard people under our building as we slept running through that building. So that was eye awakening because really it was tearing up our own neighborhood. I went out there the next day, was hugging with all the business owners and stuff like that, and really trying to help out and clean up. And that's really what changed my trajectory to be more community based. But prior to that, while I was still working in insurance and stuff, we just had a bunch of trash where we are in our neighborhood. Like I said, I'm on the busiest street in my area, which is just 90% commercial. We're the only apartment building within a 2-3 block radius right now. So when the trash is not clean on streets like this, where you have literally every single fast food restaurant, I'm talking KFC right across the street, Popeyes on the same block, Rita's, we got, if Rita's is water ice, I don't know if y'all got it down there yet, but Dunkin' Donuts, Dollar General, all of these convenience stores in one radius creates this type of atmosphere where you need constant cleaning. There's a bunch of paper products on the ground. There's a bunch of aluminum foil on the ground. There's a bunch of cups, plastic bags everywhere. And learning about what goes into the work that neighborhoods need. In my neighborhood, there was a lack of the service towards maintenance and cleaning and keeping our neighborhood safe. So I saw opportunity. I really wanted to do something. Like my wife, like everybody else our age, we're working. We work 40 plus hours a week. Mm-hmm. So doing a nice little cleanup once in a while, that's great. But in 2 days, it looks like nothing ever happened. So what I saw was lack of trash receptacles on our business corridor. I saw that even residential blocks were getting piled up with the same type of trash that these commercial blocks were getting. And there was no way to throw anything out. And even the trash cans that were there, they were piled to the brim. It looked like a Jenga game sometimes. And first, when you see that, you first see, all right, there's a lack of trash cans. Whoever's supposed to pick these up is not doing it in a timely manner. And also there's trash everywhere. Who's throwing the trash on the ground? It's me, it's our neighbors, it's people commuting, it's the businesses not taking responsibility for outside of their storefronts and stuff like that. So it was a bunch of things to kind of make that big storm. So I wanted to first put out trash cans, but anybody can put out a trash can. What are you showing when you want to make a difference in a neighborhood? You have to get other people involved. You have to make sure that they're okay with it. You have to get businesses involved. You got to get residents involved as well. So that's what I did. I canvassed the neighborhood. I just found out about the trash relationship, what's going on, and I saw that there was a big issue. There was um, basically a distrust with the people in our neighborhood and what they were doing with the trash collection. And the businesses halted that service entirely. And around the same time that I started I Love That Hood, and me as a resident, you don't know anything but a bunch of trash on the ground, not knowing that first it's somebody's job to clean it up, and that the businesses basically cut off that tie because the money was mismanaged and stuff like that. So after learning that, all right, now I had to at least put out a couple of trash cans, but I wanted the community involved. I shared the message on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I made a GoFundMe page and really just blasted that out, and just to see how people felt about it. I only wanted to get about 5 trash cans, 5 to 10, put on the corridor. That was on a Monday. By Wednesday, I saw my goal was like $400, $500. By Wednesday, we had over $1,000. By Thursday, I was on the news, and I didn't even get a can yet. And that was just a wake up sign to me to say, all right, this is a challenge that you did want to take up, so let's tackle it. And it also showed me that everybody in my city also had an issue with the trash epidemic in Philadelphia. So it was something that everybody could get around. It didn't matter what your race, your class, your job, or anything. Everybody hated trash. So it was a cool thing to rally around. And it took a minute for me to get these cans to business owners and residents and stuff. I was emptying about 3 of them myself, just throwing a bag over my shoulder. I would have to empty it every 2 days because that's how fast these cans filled up. And then I was able to find some business owners that felt the same way about me, wanted to help out their neighborhood. And from there, basically, it was a chain reaction. Not only business owners, but residents as well. So basically, we created an adopt a can program. So basically, you reach out to us, you need a can, we provide you with the can with the nice bright orange logo on it and everything, with bike locks and trash bags. So you have your own sustainability pack for your block to make sure that it's clean. So I Love Thy Hood is now over 150 cans all across the city, manned by people like you and me, also business owners, block captains, people of business association, neighborhood associations, really wanting to make that change on a daily basis. So these cans have made a pretty cool impact. And now I work for my neighborhood community development corporation. So I work for Germantown United CDC, and I'm the business development manager over there. But I also oversee the entire cleaning program in Germantown now. So it's a cool full circle thing that is still developing, and I'm learning every day, and meeting new people, and creating new collaborations. So it's a pretty cool thing. And my wife, I must say, she can tell you about herself, but from my standpoint, I just pick up the trash. She does everything from what you see with branding, what you see online with the website, making those connections, answering emails, and really letting I Love Thy Hood be what it is, and is really nothing without her. And like I said, I can pick up some trash. I can talk on a Zoom, but other than that, like, she is the reason why this is running the way that it is.
It was so sweet.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Wow, like I hear, I love that you just took us on that journey because I picked up so much from that. One, just you took me back to a lot of the Philly days. I'm from West Oakland, so uptown for sure. So it's just like I live right where Ogons and Washington Lane hit each other. So everybody know Ogons is a crazy street, very similar to Shelton Avenue. But
Mm.
what I hear with that too is I remember that. I remember like people talking about, I feel like it was only really a up north thing that you didn't really understand how much trash, what was really going on out there, what was happening. Like you said, sometimes you walk outside and you'd be like, yo, where is this coming from? Trash is blowing everywhere. I got trash on my yard. I don't even eat there. I've never even been there. Like, I don't even know how that got to, is this my neighbor? Is this me? Trash bags, people get in the trash bags, the animal, all of that. So it's just so crazy. But I also remember the period in time where I walked outside. I used to walk my dogs and I started seeing trash cans on Ogons. And I was like, okay, maybe we're doing something. We're making some strides. But like you said, you look 1 minute, you look the next, it's filled up. And then it'd be filled up for days to the point where, like you said, it's Jenga, it's coming out, it's falling, people are still throwing stuff on there despite, and then it would finally get empty. And then literally 24 or 48 hours later, we're right back where we started. So I also remember too, you're bringing me back to the pandemic and the COVID days where I was an essential worker during the pandemic. I was actually working at Target back in 2019. And pretty much I remember the looting, the rioting, a lot of the small businesses and other stores that I was walking past on Ogons, they're no longer there. I go back home now, they were gone. Or they had to put the gates down, they were shut down, looted. I remember even the DTLR and brought it on, they burnt it down. Like I remember so much, like you said, we were literally destroying our communities, whether we felt that was the right thing, whether we didn't know what to do, whether it was boredom, whether it was a combination of just everything. So it's crazy really just to, as you piece together every single thing, just all the recollection and all everything in my mind. But for you and really this journey, man, it, like you said, it's really full circle for you at this point. And I think you touched on something that people are not really realizing. So I kind of want people to realize that you had an interest, you had things that you were doing, but you were also feeling time, feeling responsibilities. You had jobs that bills had to get paid, money had to get made, everything like that. So having to work with having to work in claims, having to do all that, having to be in the hotel and everything, it built you up it gave you all of these skills. Sometimes I feel like we put ourselves in positions or we're doing things that we may not want to do, so we don't embrace it the same. And granted, you may have not embraced this just open arms, you loved it, but at the end of the day, you picked up those essential skills. You picked up things that we need. You picked up customer service, how to talk to people, how to negotiate, everything like that. You picked up so much of the business that it was when it was really time for you to go on your own. You said, okay, I know what I need to do. I know how to build this foundation. I'm not just going to say, hey, I have an idea. If the GoFundMe doesn't do well, if we don't stick, this is it. Because I can almost, just in hearing how your story kind of went, I can almost guarantee that had you not made that 1,000, you would still be on this trajectory. You would still be doing what you were doing. You would still be getting the cans because at the end of the day, you told me you're emptying the stuff yourself. You're not just, plugging and playing somebody and then the rest is out of your hands. No, you're physically, like you said, you throwing it over the shoulder, you making it happen. By the way, the website is fire. So now that you say that, now that you say Bria stepped in and made that, not to say that men are not creative and not to say that we can't get down to business, no pun intended.
I can make a logo. That's about it.
But seeing that website, y'all, I was like, wow, like from the quote by Coretta Scott, I'm pretty sure a quote by Coretta Scott came on there. Yeah, see, I had to click around a little bit. I had to do some stuff, but I had to see who y'all really were because the name really stood it out for me. But no, to really hear that you really had to take matters into your own hands, that you really had to start doing things. And back then, it goes to really show for people, you have to start. You have to do something. You can't just sit on things. You can't think about what if. You can't, because if Matt was still thinking about what if the GoFundMe didn't hit what he wanted, he would have just gave it all up. He would have stopped it. If we're not always gonna, hit what we want. Sometimes we'll hit above it. We'll excel it. And like you said, the next day, then I'm gonna be on the news and you make it happen. Other times we don't hit it. But do you let that discourage you, or do you really recognize why you started this? Do you recognize that you walking outside every day and your neighborhood looks atrocious? Between people not taking responsibility, between people just not caring, and then between me having to live here, me wanting to, grow up here, family, everything of the sort. No, something has to give and something has to stop. So the fact that you really took matters into your own hands and took it the right way. I know you've probably had to have some uncomfortable conversations. You probably had people who may not really have cared when they should care because this is affecting us all. You probably have had to even, maybe even do some convincing, maybe even do some extra legwork to really make this happen. Nonetheless, you still did it. So something that kind of comes to mind right now. So with getting these cans, with what kind of I already know about what we were doing in Philly, the trash cans they put out, whoever really did that, waste management, everything like that. Did you have to get any sort of certain like city approval? Did you have to talk to like officials? Were you kind of going against any codes or regulations, or was this kind of you taking matters into your own hands, you getting the cans, you sourcing them, and you kind of being able to then distribute to everybody else?
Yeah. Well, at first, really, I just put the idea out in the air. Of like, if I get a bunch of trash cans and pass them out, would people be down to take care of them? And make sure that they're. I really wanted to go after the business owners, because that's what it was really affecting. And I am not a lawyer. I'm not anything like that. But if you own property, you are responsible for what's outside of your business. Now, in certain areas of my city, and it might be like that in other cities, there's things where businesses are part of some type of association or district where they pretty much provide funds, or they're taxed as property owners or business owners to provide funds for services such as maintenance, landscaping, but even nice little things like little street lights in the trees during Christmas, or banners that describe the town that you're in, or little festivals and stuff in the summertime. In my neighborhood, we didn't have that. And what we did have got cut off because of it not being managed correctly. So we were, and still are, at a disadvantage because of that. Because really, the money for the street cleaning per se that is coming to our area is tax dollars now from the state, and is being dispersed to organizations such as CDCs, neighborhood groups, and such like that. Me, I didn't get no state funds or nothing like that. Basically, we crowdfunded. We asked those people what their needs were. At first, the businesses were very reluctant because of the environment of Germantown when it came to trash. So they didn't want to be responsible for it, because in a sense they knew it was a burden. The trash was always been a burden, and they, at some businesses, rather ignored it instead of wanting to do something about it. And when I got about like 10 cans to start out with. Bria could tell you, we was sitting in the crib with him for a couple of months because I couldn't get him off, and really it was trying to find those few people, those few business owners that felt the same way about my neighborhood as I did, and we did. We found those businesses. There's a place called Bargain Thrift. Susan, she owns that shop over there. And I don't want to tell anybody, because that's my favorite thrift spot. You're gonna steal all my good stuff, but amazing thrift store and everything. And she was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And that was one of my first cans. It's still there today.
Hafiz Sisters was another one. They're a Black-owned hair salon, or sorry, not hair salon, a beauty supply store rather. And they were more than happy to, take one of our cans. They actually were one of our first can owners. So it was really, like Matt said, to find folks that were like-minded like us. But the fact that people didn't want to take responsibility, it innately is all of our responsibility, right? Like if you live here and you are part of the community, like we all have a part in kind of what's going here. And my parents grew up in the 50s, and the way my grandma grew up in the South, it was like people came out on Sundays and they swept their block. They cleaned up after each other. They if something was on the trash, you picked it up, because that's your neighborhood, that's your house. Like if the neighborhood starts to decline, that's affecting you. So there's a level of responsibility there. And that's something we innately try to root into I Love Thy Hood, is that it is more than trash. It's about bringing that neighborhood together, but also about educating folks on, how to care for trash. And one story we share very often, but we were at, our Rita's Water Ice up the street, and we were waiting in line, and it's this little boy, and he had to be somewhere around like maybe 9 or 10 with his mom, and he has his water ice, and he dropped the spoon by accident, and he looks at the spoon, but then he looks at his mom. His mom looks at him, and she steps over it and goes and gets another spoon, and they go about their business. But right then and there is that example of what that child just learned and said, this isn't where we live. This innately isn't ours, even though he was the causation of that piece of trash. Because also with trash is it's out of sight and out of mind. It's if I walk away from it, then it doesn't exist. It's not mine. It's not my responsibility. So you see people like, we can drive down north somewhere and be behind a parade of people just throwing stuff out their window like it doesn't even matter. But if you take that same scenario and you toss it into like an Abington or a Jenkintown or a Bucks County, if you saw a single piece of trash there, it would be ridiculous. It wouldn't even make any sense. And that's something that we're trying to get people to understand, is that our neighborhoods don't look like this because we are brown and black. They don't look like this because we don't care. It's because we don't have the resources. If you go to Abington, they street cleaning every 3-4 days. They got trash cans up and down the work. Who is walking up and down in Abington? Tell me who's walking up. Nobody's walking up and down the sidewalk. Nobody's waiting for the bus stop. They have none of this foot traffic, but all of the resources. Yet we have the opposite. But it's like, oh, we don't care. No, we do care, because we have over 150 can owners that say otherwise.
I'm gonna say one thing, y'all making me miss Rita's real good.
I know, right?
Rita's is an Italian. I don't even know how to shaved ice, if that's what you want to call
it's
it.
A whole different
these other folks, Italian ice and shave, like they know the Luigi's and all of that.
It's not the same.
That's what I see. Thank you. I love my Philadelphia. I just understand it. Y'all get it, but no, that. What you said, innate, just learning that right then and there, just seeing that, just knowing that. And then you multiply that by the population and just how many people and everything that's there. Like you said, out of sight, out of mind. It's nothing real quick, roll down your window, pop something out, roll it. But you never, it's like you don't, so you get a bunch of that over and over and over again. It's just like, wow, like look at these. But like you said, as somebody who, when I grew up, I played for the Wildcats, West Oak Lane, but we used to play your Abingtons, your Willow Groves, Forest Towns, Warringtons, everything like that. You go to these, it's night and day difference. And it makes you think, though, oh no, our communities only look like this because they don't really care about us, and they meaning like elected officials, other people in charge. No, we don't care about our own selves. So why would they care? If we stood up, if we took a stance, if we knocked on some doors, if we held on to some cans in the apartment and had the faith that, this is going to turn around. It can happen, because like you said, when y'all first got them, it wasn't just y'all were just rapidly firing them off. Y'all were just getting them off. Y'all were good. They had to sit. But anybody else see things just sit and don't see that immediate action, don't see those immediate results, it's over. And that's something else you kind of spoke to me about too. It was a thing about I wouldn't really say you had this all figured out in the very beginning. No, you knew what you wanted to do. You knew the problem at hand. You knew the solutions and what could come of it, but you didn't know the path. You didn't know the trajectory. You didn't really know how this was all going to play out for you. So now we're to the cans. Now you have them. Before we even got them, how did that work? And maybe it's changed now for what you're doing in the position that you guys are in, but how did you get trash cans? And then my kind of follow up to that, why orange? I love orange. I love the way it looks on the melanated skin. It's actually my second favorite color behind blue. And it's clearly standing out with the hoodies. That's everybody listening, that's the first thing I saw when I hopped on here, man. I almost wanted to change. Like I said, I felt like, I did what I had to do today. I was at work.
Yeah.
That's normal for you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, but dag, like I get on here, I see that, I'm just like, sheesh, like I ain't touching. I love that hood too. But yeah, so why, one, how did the trash cans come into play? How did you go about sourcing those and getting those? And then two, what was the intentionality, if any at all, behind the color orange?
Yeah. Well, I think the main reason is, first, my favorite color is orange. But besides that point, when you look up the meanings around orange, it's always saying something powerful, kind-hearted, giving energy, and really I wanted first for these cans to be seen. So a black can on the side of the street, you probably don't even notice it half the time, but you cannot ignore these orange cans when you see them on the corners. Really that's what I wanted it to be. I want it to be something that can be seen from far away, so that you know that, all right, just a block away, I can throw this in a trash can. There's an I Love That Hood trash can up the block. I know it's there. Or like when I'm driving somewhere in the hood, like, oh no, that's a drawing on the corner. That it signifies to that person, like, whatever I was about to do with this trash, let me do the right thing and put it in a trash receptacle. So really, that's why I wanted it really bright and orange. And yeah, first I didn't even know if they made orange cans. I had to make sure that they did first, and kind of map out that. And really, I like I like I said, I've worked in screen printing and stuff like that. I'm the type of person that won't go to the store. I want to go find the manufacturer. I want to talk to them, and then I'll bring it to somebody to put the logo on or something like that. So that's what I did. I just researched different types of cans, and Home Depot actually had the ones that I wanted, and it was good because I could order it to their store location and it'll be free shipping. Great. And I think I sold out all of their cans because they do not have those orange cans anymore. I wiped Home Depot out of orange trash cans. But thereon, I found another company that I'm able to kind of do the same thing with, and working with. Now we're working with trying to, like I said, connect with those manufacturers so that we can make a bigger impact. But yeah, I wanted my cans to look nice and fresh. I didn't want to just spray paint the logo on or anything like that. So I ran around to every screen printing shop in the area, or vinyl shop, to see if they can do this. And I only found one shop that did. And he was like, yeah, I can't do this again for you. It took too much time. I charged you too little. So I was like, I understand. And then randomly, somebody in my neighborhood saw that I was doing. It's Germantown Bikes. It's a bike shop in Germantown. And they were like, hey, we have a vinyl machine. And we just bought one because it was cheaper to do the vinyl ourselves for their logos and stuff for their windows. And ever since then, they've been the people to do our logos on our can. So try to keep it all in the neighborhood, and everything. And really just like going back to that point you were saying, like, did we need permission? I didn't ask for permission. I was really going to wait until somebody would say something so that I would have a rebuttal. Would be like, hey, the can in question has picked over 20 bags in the last 2 months off the street. So we can use this can, or you can get a can to be put out here. But that really never happened.
Yeah. The other thing about like separating ourselves, so like Matt said, when we put the cans out, nobody knew who they belonged to, honestly, for a few months. Nobody knew that it was a Black owned, woman owned. Nobody really knew, when we were just kind of waiting to see the reaction. It did give us a benefit because nobody could judge. Nobody could, not to say that when a Black owned business does something that people raise eyebrows, but it does tend to happen. It's a very quick thing that happens, that when a Black person does something or wants to do something, everybody's quick to like poke holes in it for some odd reason, and I'm not really sure why. So for us to separate ourselves from it, nobody really knew who it was. And I think something important to focus on is just even the name, I Love Thy Hood. Just the difference of I love the hood is it for some, it falls flat for some reason, but the word thy, it's regal, it's Shakespearean, it means honor, it means of high value, and that's something that we wanted to put in the same sentence to make synonymous, which is not synonymous. The hood is bad. I want to be from the hood. I want to move out the hood. We in the hood. The hood is ghetto. Ain't nothing good that's coming from it. And so we wanted to put that emphasis, like, it's okay to be hood. The hood is great, and your hood is my hood, is the hood, is anywhere. Abington is a hood. That's a hood. That's whatever you want to rep. But what your hood is what we, wanted to find, a value there. And I think Matt's coloring and everything helped me work on like the branding really well. It kind of all just like fell into place. So we didn't start this having a plan. There was no business idea. It wasn't even like we looked at this as a business, which I always like to emphasize, because it wasn't. We didn't sit down to be like, how are we want to do something together. This honestly wasn't even a together thing. It was Matt. Like, he came home and just got sick of the trash, and he literally sent it to me while I was at work and was like, yo, I just made this GoFundMe. And kind of how I came into play is like, when you're in marriage and partnership, or I don't even think we were married at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, we weren't. You help, your partner, you want to see them succeed, you want to do something. And for me as his partner, I always wanted for Matt to feel fulfilled in what he was doing. Like, I saw, like, for me, seeing Matt is, he reminds me so much of like a Diddy, a Jay-Z, a Kanye, a Virgil. And from that, you can judge all four of them people, if you will. I know how Black people feel about all of them and all the rhymes and reasons. I got all that. But at the core of it, they are individuals who create ideas that nobody saw coming. Kanye created Yeezy and everybody thought that crap was stupid. Well, how come they fly off the shelf in 2 seconds? Jay-Z might have, said a verse or whatever. It might not have hit in the studio, dropped that joint that's viral. Like, we wouldn't have got N-words in Paris if it wasn't for them too, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's, what I saw in Matt. But I was like, how do I help him with what I'm good at come to life? And my background is a little sporadic. So I went to college for neuroscience. And that was originally my path. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to be stuck in a lab. And I didn't really know where to go from there. So I winded up in like marketing, and I've gone through every facet of marketing. I worked at a retirement community, so I did like event marketing. I worked for a really big like food company in the country, so I did their email marketing. I have done digital marketing, so essentially helping brands, be themselves. So how do they create an idea and make it come to fruition? And in January of 2020, which I did not see the pandemic coming, I was like kind of at like, dead end at my job of email marketing. I really didn't like it. And I was just like, I just hate it. Like, I was just like, I really don't like it. I was just going through that like Black woman in a white environment. So fill that in with what you will.
It's a whole episode.
Yeah. So I called him and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I didn't have a plan. I had no idea. I had no backup plan. I was just like, I have to walk. But I always knew that I wanted to do marketing, but every facet of it. I wanted to do branding. I wanted to just do whatever. And I asked him, and at that point he had been running the Instagram himself for a couple months. There was no website. There was nothing. It was just the Instagram. And I was like, can you let me do this? And he was like, I mean, you're going to do better than me. So like, knock yourself out. And that's when I really like took it by the reins and I started running the Instagram. I was messaging people in our, like, there's different groups in Germantown. So I was just creating our story and just writing, that narrative as I saw it. And that's kind of, for me, it's given me sort of an outlet to, it, allow me to prove to myself that I could actually like do this. And like on the side now, I help, some of my friends, and other businesses create their own branding and kind of get ideas out of Instagram, is what I like to call it, into something that is more tangible. Because the one thing I say to people is like, you create an Instagram page and everybody has a business there, but it's like a dead end. Like, it's just, that's where you exist and that's where it is. But it's how do you help somebody make something, concrete? And it's been, really cool. I mean, working with your husband or your wife, can pose its own things, but I think it is really cool that we can do something together. And, we have like business meetings in the morning before breakfast and, business meetings at night. And so it's been like just a really cool ride. And we've been figuring it out together. Like I said, there was no plan. Every month, every day, every week that went by, it wasn't like we were like, okay, this is the next step. We were just rolling with it. And he would come to me with an idea and I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's figure it out.
Man, I almost had to look behind me to see if I had like the questions written, because you literally just answered 3 questions that I just had in my head. You talked about, you went into the name, then you transitioned. I was really going to ask about like, was there a moment for y'all, a defining moment or a plan or anything? You answered that. And then you gave the shameless plug about the brand. So I'm also going to say, for everybody listening out there, you heard what she said. Or on Instagram. Y'all
Yeah,
love Instagram, y'all love social media, but there's a life, there's a business, there's a brand, there's money, there's impact, there's everything. There's community beyond just social media. So, hey, tap into Bria. I know we're here talking about I Love Thy Hood, but when you check out the website, you're going to want to tap into it. But no, to hear that, it wasn't all figured out. To hear that you were literally just taking things step by step, making it happen here, making it happen there. That's really the journey of business and entrepreneurship. And I feel like people don't really realize it, or just feel like if they don't have just the set plan or the set foundation or just everything all figured out, then they don't really know. But you also have to realize, even for the people who do have it figured out, even when the foundation is set, even when it's brick by brick by brick, what happens when one of those bricks gets a crack? What happens when you run out of materials? What happens when it's a rainy day? You can't lay it today. Like, what happens when you have to veer off and everything? Sometimes you have to go off script. You have to go off that, just what you're used to in the regular, to really see what's going on. And I feel like with y'all, and I feel like even with just the niche, the industry, the business that y'all are in, that anybody else can be listening to, it just naturally makes you do that. There are certain things with the podcast that I just couldn't have predicted. I just didn't know. I just, as starting this back, like people say now, like, yo, everybody has a podcast, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that. Yeah, well, back in 2019, we couldn't say that. Like, I didn't have anybody to look to, or what to really, I wasn't even watching podcasts. I tell people all the time, I don't even listen to my own podcast after I edit and do all of that. It's out, it's good. Like, I trust it. I'm having a good time. I know the vibe. Like, I know what's up. I go back to get the gems and figure out what I need to, but I didn't really have anything to look up to, or anything that I wanted to emulate, or anybody, especially African American. Like, I didn't, like you said, whenever we do something, and if somebody's really about to pick a battle with y'all about trash, then that's a problem. But whenever we just do something or step into our own lane, it's always just met with, I don't know, just traction, just static, just like, wow. Like, but y'all have clearly shown that we're better together. You said some of y'all first couple of clients were Black-owned businesses. Those were the people who were going hard for y'all. Those were the people who recognized that this is a problem. And that's also another point that I'm kind of hearing just recirculate over and over in this interview, that essentially there was a problem. And essentially, there are problems out there. Maybe we hear all the time on the podcast about how people started. Sometimes it was problems, sometimes it was jokes, sometimes it was just always a passion, following in the footsteps of everything. But essentially, I'm really realizing here that so many people resonate in the same way. So many people think about the same thing, talk about the same things, get bothered and perturbed by the same issues. Who acts on it, though? Had y'all not started this, it would be trash galore in Germantown. I promise you, probably nobody, and I'm going to say this with a grain of salt, 9 out of 10, there would not be another trash can additionally in Germantown, in Uptown, anywhere that didn't need to be. I promise you, people would have just kept adopting. You would have had just some people in the town meetings talk about it, whatever, because another point that you made, I don't know where y'all are from, tapping in, listen to everybody who's listening to this, but Philadelphia, we had 2 things on our block that we either looked forward to or we didn't. And it was that Saturday street cleanup or a Saturday block party. And I will be the first to tell you that my block specifically, when we saw that Saturday street clean sign, the participation was minimal. All we asked was people to move their cars. They didn't even want to move the cars until we started handing out fines. Some people took the fine. You didn't want to move the cars, no participation. You got the same people out there sweeping the whole block. But this block is littered with people, littered with kids, littered with all that. Oh, but let that sign say a block party. Oh, we out there early. They grilling when you're not even supposed to be having grilled food that early. You know what I mean? So it's just like people pick and choose what they want to act on, what they want to be irate about, or what they want to be just enraged about. But then they pick and choose also what they want to act on. And like I said, had y'all not acted, who knows? But now that y'all act, it's like somebody else saying, oh, well, if they did it, I see that that's a problem too. Let me see what they're talking about. I may not get a can right now, but let me just see. Oh, he's putting the cans out there. Oh, he's putting the cans out there and emptying them himself. Oh, they have a website. Oh, the website is fire. Oh, they're actually, even if, like you said, y'all stepped on some toes, somebody said something to y'all, whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, this is for the betterment of the community. So unless you're going to give me another solution, unless you're going to make me follow this rule or this structure, this path, let's see where this goes. And now once the proof is in the pudding, once it speaks for itself, I'm good from here. So, okay, I'm hearing about the numbers. I'm hearing that you said, correct me if I'm wrong, you said over 150 cans at this point? Mm-hmm. And y'all said over, and I believe the website said, was it over 100,000 pounds of trash? See, I was watching.
We got to update all that stuff anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like some updating.
So thinking about Philadelphia, thinking about the origin of Germantown, What's the future look like for I Love Thy Hood? Is this something that y'all trying to expand to different communities still in Philly? Are y'all trying to go nationwide? Are y'all thinking about different states, different places? What does that really look like for what y'all are thinking now as far as branding is going, as far as marketing is going? Are y'all kind of just still focused on the Philly problem because y'all don't feel like it's, well, I wouldn't say it's fully solved, but are y'all just not where y'all want to be progress wise with Philly, or what are y'all really thinking in that regard?
I think there's like, there's a few things. I think for us, making sure that our cans are in the neighborhoods that need it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that there maybe aren't pockets of a Montgomery County that might need it. Maybe that business owner, might need it, but it's to ensure that, the places that are under resourced have them. And for us right now, that's in Philadelphia County. I think the other thing that we're, working on is really to get to know our can owners, because we have this network of folks, over 150 and plus growing people, who do care, about this issue, and that we're kind of able to tap into. I think when we think about the growth of I Love Thy Hood and it potentially going into other neighborhoods, I think that might be something that's a couple years down the line. And the reason is because there's one thing to just throw a can on the street, but Matt really did that legwork of he didn't just put that can on the street. He figured out what the issue was. He understood why there were not trash cans. He understood who was responsible for the lack of the trash cans. He knows these business. I mean, he can't go outside without people, not knowing him. He got to know these business owners. He did the labor himself, so he understood that is called research. That's called research. He got to know those
Sweat equity.
Yeah, it's sweat equity. He got to know these can owners, which I like to always call personas, which is when you're, branding and you're creating this sort of archetype, if you will, of the type of person that you're trying to serve. And all of that kind of works in to make sure that business works. So if we were to, put I Love Thy Hood in another city, which could be coming, soon in the next couple of years, we would really want to do that research to understand, that neighborhood and those people. Like, we're from Philly, and so we understand a Philly person. So for us to maybe just throw this can in Baltimore, like, we're not from Baltimore. We don't know the ins and outs of that neighborhood. We don't know how the trash works there, what their issue is, what they've been going through, who those officials are. And I think that is key, when you're doing something that affects the neighborhood, is to be within that neighborhood, to make sure that you really do, understand, i.e. that's like the opposite of what gentrification is, right? And which is what, even though we're Black, we don't want to do that to somebody else's neighborhood. And also too, I Love Thy Hood is one of a many, groups or entities or folks that also, do trash. There are plenty of other folks there. I think for us, the mindset, though, is an analogy that we use a lot when we're trying to keep ourselves motivated, is the bread aisle analogy. So when you walk down that bread aisle, there's probably over 100 different types of the same thing. You can buy wheat bread from this brand and bagels from here and there from there. But Pepperidge Farm ain't looking at the other brand like, oh dang, they made raisin bagels, we should stop. Like, that's not what it is for us. For us, we represent one thing, and if somebody else is able to fix their solution or trash through, somebody else, people go to TJ Maxx and then they go to Marshalls and they go to Target to buy clothes, but no, all three of them need to exist for all different reasons. So for us, it's kind of to continue to grow as the brand grows, to continue to listen to the folks that have helped us get where we are, to ensure that we're growing in the right ways. And I think I don't know, Matt, you had a few other things you.
Yeah, I think we're lucky that we're from Philly, because it's still, trash is still an issue in our city, and it's not resolved. And like you said, I put these cans out there, not looking for any help, not looking for any city assistance or anything like that. And now we're at the point where we're having meetings with the streets department, the people that run our trash trucks and do that collection all across the city. We're having conversations with other community development corporations in University City, in Frankfurt, and in Fishtown, in all of these areas that are underserved. So that is something that I wanted to see happen, because those entities are those people that can make those big changes. And it wasn't the other way around. It wasn't the city demanding change of the people. It was the people demanding change from the city. And yeah, I Love Thy Hood is people powered, man. We're just a tool. And in that toolbox, this is something that can be utilized not only for trash, but the message itself. Like I said, I Love Thy Hood. It means exactly what it means. It means to love the places that you come from. And if you are in an area that you're not from, please respect it like it is your own home. And that is very important to not only commuters, people that go there for work, but big corporations that make millions and millions of dollars off the people of these neighborhoods that do not put anything back into that community. And they can they can make problems go disappear just like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if nobody's demanding it, why should they care? So it's building up that pride. It's making sure that when I see a guy walking down the street or something, I make sure that I acknowledge him. I make sure that I make him feel special, because really that's all that we want. We just want to be loved. We want to be acknowledged, and that is very easy to do if it's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that I really want to drive through I Love Thy Hood, because it's not about trash. It's that little kid seeing me pick up that trash and him asking me, why am I doing that? And then in turn telling his friends about it, and him picking up a piece of trash, and I don't even know what that might even turn to. Before I started I Love Thy Hood, I did not see myself in school speaking to groups of students about the ways that we can change our neighborhood, but I am now. And that's something that is very important, because I mean, we're doing this for the youth. Like, I'm 30 years old, and anybody above us, y'all done. Like, no offense to anybody, but I'm saying, like, we're already stuck in our ways. We are now building the world for our children, our kids, our nephews, all these things. So how do we want to leave it? And the ways are to educate the youth. They use the internet in all of these different ways. So what do? You put a hashtag on the can, so you can go see all the cool things that I Love Thy Hood is doing, all the cool things that people are doing in their neighborhood. All the businesses are doing the same thing. You can join our local cleanup. You can teaming up with garden clubs in the area and stuff like that, and really creating a community around something very positive, but is in the hood still. We're in South Philly. We're in Southwest Philly. Like, we are in the hood. If you see my can, you in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely in the hood.
Yep.
But that also, when you see my can, there's a person on that block, there's a business on that block that really cares about their community, their environment, their neighbors, all of that. And yeah, we're lucky to have that in Philly, and I would love to branch that out to other cities. Like Bria said, we gotta do the research. I call myself a garbologist, because I look at all the different ways that sanitation is collected in other cities. The ones that are doing it great, the ones that aren't doing so great, and even international, like Germany, Berlin. Oh, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
When it comes to cleaning up trash.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. So those are all things that we're taking in, and it's becoming more than trash, and it always was. But teaming up with local community groups, schools, businesses, to have that community engagement, creating those committees where these businesses can have that outreach by the communities that they're in, to kind of usher in the things that neighborhood needs. So those are things that I'm looking very fortunate to, because those partnerships are only going to create just better environments for those communities, and really shed a light on real easy ways to create change. Like, it's just communicating, partnership, and really picking up other people's trash.
To truly hear the intention and authenticity behind this brand, man, it just makes me smile. It makes me, I love the garbologist. We may have to, yeah, that may be the title for this one. But ultimately, to at surface value, I feel like somebody listening to this episode in the beginning, hearing about what y'all do, going to the website, social media, whatever the case may be, may truly just think that this is about trash. But
Mhm.
after getting to the end of this episode, after really talking to y'all, after taking a deeper dive into it all, after really seeing the cans and even talking to some of those owners or people who took sole responsibility of those cans, you'll realize that this is really about community. It's
Yeah.
about it's about the betterment of the community. It's about more so the future of the community as well. But it's also about, too, just caring, just love. Like it costs nothing to spread love. It costs nothing to care about people. It costs nothing to go out there, throw a bag of trash on your back, and make it happen. And I feel like even more so, the fact that you've immersed yourself into that, you've done the grunt work, the leg work, the sweat equity, and all of that. It makes that much of a difference, because oftentimes we hear about people in these positions. We hear about people, CEOs, founders, and everything like that, who may have started this, who may be able to speak on behalf of the organization, may be able to go out and tell you a few things about it, make the money, do whatever. But when it comes to actually the legwork of it, they're not doing it. They don't even, a day in the life for them is not looking like that. Whereas, you have people out here really getting to it, really ins and outs every day, really going to take my own stuff out my own cans, and really making it happen. Going to other hoods, like you said, getting it and making it happen. So to see all of that, but also the appeal, also recognizing what is going to stand out to people, what is going to catch people's attention, because whether you believe it or not, and this is not even really to y'all because y'all know it, somebody's always watching, somebody's always talking. It's always, everybody knows the problem. Everybody knows that Philly could be way better. Everybody knows that the hoods are only looking like this because we've allowed it to look like this. And so the outside looking in, they're like, if they're fine with it, we're fine with it too. The hell with it.
Mm-hmm.
The minute we decide to take action, take that stand, like you said, start that GoFundMe, talk to people, knock on some doors, get the cans yourself, go to Home Depot, go to every vinyl shop until you find that one. Only found one. And then you saw what happened from there. Get on the news, you see what happened from there. Start the GoFundMe, you see what happened from there. Get the cans, sit on them. Don't get discouraged. Or even if you did get discouraged, you didn't let it completely take you out the game. Now look at it. And now look at what's to come. But even about not thinking about that next man. You're not thinking about the Pepperidge Farms, the I can't even think of no bread brands right now.
Right.
But I was like, hold on, Pepperidge Farm, Wonder Bread. Yeah, I can't really go. But yeah, you're not really worried about whatever anybody else has going on. And I think that's so important, because ultimately your focus, your goal, your trajectory, your lane is you. And however that looks, whatever research needs to be done, you just told us about a whole different country that people probably don't even know about. So to think about states and everything like that, look, we have to think way bigger picture. But until we get there, let's fix where we are first. Let's rectify that. Let's get control of that. Let's figure out this on a string, so I can tell you just like that before I start looking here. Because like you said, Baltimore could have different views. Tampa could have different views. Greenville, North Carolina, we could be talking totally different trajectories, totally different people that you have to talk to, laws, ramifications, everything. So I really, man, I love what y'all are doing. DJ, I got to give you another shout out, my brother. You did not to say you sent me any bad recommendations or anybody who I wouldn't want, but and maybe it's the Philly thing. This is the one, my brother. So before I get into everything social media wise, where people can find you, I want two things from y'all. I want, if you have any last words for anybody out there, business owners, entrepreneurs, community, Philadelphians, anything like that. But then two, let me know, let my audience know, give it to everybody. How can we best support you? How can people in the Philadelphia area go about getting cans? What does that look like? What can we do to make sure I Love Thy Hood is truly flourishing, truly impacting? Make it 150 more cans, make it 100,000 more pounds of trash and everything collected. So what can we do for y'all?
So I guess the one thing I would say to business owners, I would say, is if you have an idea or you're trying to do something, I think a lot of people will say to you, you have to have this plan, you have to have this idea. And honestly, I would say you don't, because I think for Matt and I, we couldn't have seen this coming. Like, I don't, we were both gunning down different paths of what we wanted out of life. I wanted, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to just be normal. I would say I wanted a normal like 9 to 5. I wanted to excel in that path, but I always felt like I was fighting against it because I felt like I was good at a lot of different things. And I think Matt can kind of attest to the same thing, where it's like you're good here creatively, but you also cook a little bit over here, but you also really good at business. And like somehow I'm trying to pull that together to work for some business that does one thing, and I'm like fighting against myself. And it was very frustrating. So I think number one, I would say for a business owner, my first thing is just go, just start. I know I knocked on the Instagram thing, but if that's your first step, and that's your first thing, then just start there. I think the second thing I always say to business owner is when you're trying to create something and you want to do something, look at who the audience is that you're serving, because it might not be exactly who the audience that you want might not be the audience of what you're trying to do. So sometimes I see people trying to be like, I want to reach people that are this age and I want to reach folks like this. But I'm like, what you have or your item, your product, your brand, it doesn't actually make sense for this audience. So don't fight against what the natural attribution of your, or direction rather, of your business is. Lean, towards it and into it. And the third thing I would say is that like what makes a really good business owner is someone who knows what they do not know. And I think for he and I, even through our marriage and our relationship, you kind of have to take that pride aside and to relinquish a little bit and say, like, hey, I actually, the part that, that makes I Love Thy Hood work is not something that I'm good at. I'm not really great at creating logos or having that foresight sometimes of ideas of what could be. And that's, where Matt comes into play, where I work better of, strategically making a plan out and making sure it can be executed and making sure all those details are kind of hit. We were never too prideful to reach out to other folks for help, for things that we did not understand, to honestly just to make the business better. So it can seem like you kind of know it all and you do understand your brand the best, but any good brand has, Nike got 100 people that work underneath them that do consulting and branding and colors and choosing and blah, blah, blah. That's how businesses work, because Nike is not one person. Adidas is not one person. Whatever brand is not one person. That's hundreds of folks. We just got the two of us, but we do branch out, and try to get, support from other folks. I think to help I Love Thy Hood grow, again, it's just like spreading that word of mouth, purchasing cans. But I think also folks that do not, that are listening on this podcast that don't live in Philadelphia and area, you can still reach out to us and purchase a can to be sponsored somewhere else. We've done that with the donations that we have gotten. So our cans do come at a cost of $100. We don't make any profit of that. If anything, we're probably in the hole for that amount, because we don't even charge people what the full amount is, but it's an in out. Once that money comes in, we're purchasing the can, the lock, the bags, and it goes right back out. But the donations we have received, we've used that to donate those cans to folks who maybe don't have the funds to purchase that $100, or, a school or something like that wants to use our can. So that's another way to kind of like continuously, to support us.
Yeah, what she said. Other than that, I mean, for like entrepreneurs and stuff, for me, yeah, unfortunately, I'm the just do it type of person. But with that, you can't be scared. Of course, you're going to be scared, but those fears aren't real. They're literally just made up in your head, and you can literally just push them to the side and lead with those positive thoughts of what you want to do, what you're trying to accomplish. And it's not going to be perfect, because nothing's perfect. Literally nothing's perfect. The best product of whatever you're trying to make, it's still not perfect. It needs to be tweaked. For me, I think I just filled a need. I kind of crowd searched for it by sending the beacon out there like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And if this is a good idea, would you like to be a part of it? Would you like to fund it? Would you like to donate or be one of those can owners? And from there, I got my response back. And it, like I said, I got some businesses, some residents that were like, no, I don't like this idea. Like, I did get that. Like, I remember the first day, like somebody in my community basically said, this is a horrible idea and you need to do more research. And I politely said, well, I'm already doing it, and you can be a part of it or not. And that was 3 years ago. And from there, we've grown great relationships all across the city, and really is just a testimony of just lead with positivity or whatever that is. If you wanted to, like, you should see my Instagram app. Like, I have like 7 other pages that I also own. But those are ways that I get out my creativeness. Like, I'm a DJ. My wife is a great cook, a professional cook, I might add. You should have seen this chicken. Ooh, you should see this chicken right now. But and she runs her own chef's page. And I like to draw. I like to ride bikes and stuff like that. So really do the things that you love, lead with love, and really that's all that we can do with ourselves. And if you just sit on that fear, then that's all you get. That's all you got. You already failed because you didn't start nothing, or you didn't push through to that adversity or something like that. So really, you're only letting yourself down. So yeah, whether that is a t-shirt company, whether that is a trash company, or anything else, is really how much you care about it, because you can't make other people care about it unless you really care about it. It just is as simple as that. If you don't care about it, how is somebody else gonna care about it? With that with that Instagram page, if you made an Instagram in 2020 and that's your business, but the last post is in 2021, how can I care about your business? So it's putting that effort, and don't do it for anybody else. Do it for yourself.
Right.
Prove it to yourself that you can do this. Anything else is just
Extra.
is just an extra plus and a bonus. But prove it to yourself that you can go out and start that business, be that entrepreneur, everything that you can be, because you can, and there's nothing ever stopping you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, go on ilovethyhood.org. Yeah. Follow I Love Thy Hood on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. We putting out some new shirts. I'm putting out a new shirt this week. So yeah, I got some gear and stuff. Starting a nice little skateboarding team too. I got we're on our second deck right now. So I got 2 decks that we've made. And the proceeds go out to lessons for minority youth to learn the sport and everything. And yeah, I'm just looking out for the youth. So definitely give to I Love Thy Hood. We'll definitely put it back into our community. If it's not a can, it's in a youth sport of some sort. And yeah, and I Love Thy Hood Fest to come. Yeah.
We also, as a fun fact, we also launched our first scholarship this year. So this will launch in August of this year, starting with the school year. So our first recipient, his name is Jabri Dutton. So we just gave him his award. So shout out to Jabri. He is from Germantown. He's 14 years old and has his own car wash business, but also to help him branch out into other things. I think he's interested in, starting his own clothing business or kind of whatever it is. So we'll be giving him $1,000 and meeting with him once a month to help him build out his own booking website or kind of flesh out those ideas, and really to show that, you don't have to wait, till you're, an adult or whatever to start your business. If you have an idea, it can kind of, come into fruition. I think now schools are learning that and adapting to kind of what this generation needs and how they learn. And you see a lot of, different types of, education modules and things like that are outside of that strains of the, typical academic path. And so we just want to be able to help folks explore that and be able to give back to, kids. So in the coming next year, it'll be open up to kids in the Philadelphia area that are up to capping rising seniors that are interested in business or learning how to do that. And just for us, again, to be able to give back in that way and to make sure that we're putting that right back into that community, that we're helping those folks that are, younger than us to, do the same thing we're doing. Just like Matt said, if you let your fears get the best of you, then you don't have anything. So just just go for it and try.
Well, shout out to Jabri. Car washing business definitely sounds like somebody who knows how to get right to it. So big shout out to him and wishing him all the best. I love Thy Hood Fest, scholarship, everything, website, shirt. Hey, y'all don't touch them hoodies. Everybody listening, do not touch these hoodies. Bro. Like, don't touch the hoodies. Like,
sold out right now.
Yeah, they are sold out. These exclusive.
I see why. Just cop something else, y'all, when they drop. You know what I mean? But no. Bria, Matt, I'm eternally grateful to have made this connection, eternally grateful to really hear and see everything that you're doing. And it really warms my heart that it's my city, man. As somebody who eventually I want to go on and start my nonprofit organization giving back to the public school system. So to see that really happen, but Philly really put that in me. So to see another problem being tackled, another issue being addressed and handled accordingly, I really love to see it. I'm wishing y'all the best of luck. I'm encouraging all my followers in any capacity, whatever y'all can do donation-wise, or if you're in the Philadelphia area, if you can cop your own, but anything like that. I'm talking to a lot of my boys, a lot of my homegirls out there. I know. I see you. Don't make me have to call you out and send something. No, we definitely going to make some connections. I want to plug y'all in with some people who I know just the same. But yes, whatever we can do over here at Down to Business to continue to support, spread the word, we will definitely be doing that. We will for sure be tapping in with y'all on social media. Everybody else out there, make sure y'all give them a follow. Make sure we spread this. Make sure we're getting the word out to everybody because like they said, they could definitely be coming to a city near you. They're already doing the research. They may even have your city on the map already. So like I said, again, thank you. Thank you, DJ. Big shout out to you and the family. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Bria, for everything y'all are doing. I'm wishing nothing but success, blessings, prosperity, everything for I Love Thy Hood. And hopefully, when I'm in the Philadelphia area the next time, I'm going to do some laps around some hoods. And
Let's get it connect, man. Definitely.
We'll definitely connect. So to everybody, who continuously taps in, continuously shows us love, pops in, does everything. I love y'all, to all the newcomers, to everybody just tapping in and hearing Down to Business for the first time. I love y'all too. Stick with us, stay with us. This has been another episode of the Down to Business podcast. Here with Tamar Turner.